Welcome to Construction Champions Podcast, where we are burning the house down and rebuilding it twice a week. I'm your host, Ron Nussbaum, and I am here to help you become the champion that you're meant to be. Along with our amazing guests along the way, we will provide you with the resources, the latest and greatest. You will sit down with disruptors in the construction industry. And my goal from day one has always been to change the mindset around the construction industry. No more where we let the 3% of bad apes dictate the entire reputation of. And this isn't just having to do with what you do on a daily basis. This is about being the absolute best version of yourself for your business, your employees, your family, and everybody around you that relies on you. I am fired up for today's episode. We have a fantastic guest that I got introduced to here a few weeks ago, and he excites me. He's doing amazing things. Jim, it is great to have you here today.
Awesome. Great to be here, bud.
Why don't you take a couple minutes or however long it takes you and tell the construction champions out there a little bit about yourself, what got you here today, what excites you about the construction industry?
Well, my name is Jim Steg. I am owner and founder of Steg Custom Homes. Started building back in 2002. I was working for the corporate world back in 1984. And right around 1995, bought 3 acres. Family's been in the construction industry back in Illinois since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. And I decided, I had a wild hair to buy some land in 95, decided to build my own home in 97 with the help of my dad and my brother. And it took off. You know, after we got done building that home, I looked at my wife and said, you know, if I ever leave the corporate world, this is what I want to do. Well, I had that opportunity in 2002, step away from the corporate world, took a leap of faith, and started building. And here we are. It's been a wild ride. The amount of what I just go back to think what I was building homes for back in 2002 to really 2010. Unbelievable. The prices of homes have gone up. The clientele has changed. It's been a wild ride, and it's been very, very rewarding in regards to networking, getting to know a lot of different people, and just the quality of homes and just where they started and where they are now. It's been fun. It's good. It's, you know, a little bit about myself. I'm a elite endurance athlete. I've been running since I've been a kid, always been working out. I did Ironman triathlon from Ironman and Olympic triathlons from 2001 to 2010. From 1992 to 2001, I rodeoed, I rode bulls. I'm a licensed skydiver. I race in 100-mile races. Actually took this year off from running because I've been doing it for about 25 years now. So I wanted a little break, but I'm jonesing to get back on the trails in Sedona. But yeah, it's you know, the extreme endurance stuff. I use that mindset in my business on a daily basis. So I love it. I love what I do. It's definitely not easy nowadays. Things have changed since 2020, before COVID and after COVID. Things have changed a lot. So to be in the construction industry, it is, I will say, very interesting. It's not easy. The demographics have changed, although I had an opportunity in 2020 to move up to Sedona and build a big home for a client of mine, good buddy of mine. And we finished it up about 5 months ago. Incredible home, $5.5 million home on hillside that's anchored to a big rock called Cathedral Rock. It's one of the most well-known advertised rocks, mountains in across the United States. So It's a very rewarding project. I've got a videographer and professional photo shoot coming in 22nd through the 25th. I've got 2 huge realty groups walking through on the 22nd. So yeah, long story short, it's very lucrative. And like I said, it's not easy. But it is pretty simple. You have to be able to navigate around the issues. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that today.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing really that is lucrative is ever easy, but let's dive right in there, man. I'm going to ask the $1,000,000 question, and that is, what makes a construction champion?
Is communication chaos holding your construction business back? Emails, texts, and generic tools weren't built for your business. BuilderComms delivers a platform built for construction. Fully branded, custom workflows, and seamless integration, all designed to fix communication for good. From our free forever plan to your own custom solution, we make construction software not suck. Ready to transform your business? Book your free strategy call today.
I think a construction champion, in order to label yourself as a construction champion, you really have to understand people, because we are all in the people business. Mother, father, brother, if you got kids, you got grandkids. If you own your own business, may it be selling stuff on Amazon or the internet, or you're a coach, or you're a builder, we're all in the people industry. And I think we need to understand that. And it's your success will hinge upon how well you're able to, number one, manage emotions, and number two, manage people. And if you can really, I always say this, building a home is easy. It's just how you manage expectations, how you manage emotions is the most important thing. And, I bring a lot, my business and myself, it's very different. It's very unique. I bring a lot of my fitness into my business. And, I've had some people, I had this conversation yesterday with an individual that I'm going to be teaming up on with a couple of homes up in Sedona, another builder who's come to me and look for some guidance because he's been in the industry for a long time, but on finishes. And he just got his license a couple years ago. And we talked about this yesterday. It's all about managing emotions, and it's all about making sure that you bring yourself. Don't try to be everyone else. Be yourself. I've had some architects say, Jim, you're a little hot. You're a little crazy for a lot of these people. But you know what? My attitude and my drive and my resilience, my integrity, and how I'm so far over the edge in regards to my fitness, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, that pre-qualifies my clientele. And if we're going to be a good fit, I had a heart attack. I've always been in great shape, never been out of shape, never been overweight. I've always been an endurance athlete. Had a heart attack back June 5th, 2019. And the 2 words that I have that have been the most profound words that have led to exponential growth for myself personally and professionally is, number 1, time, and number 2, no. My ability to say no, because prior, I would take every single job I get my hands on, even jobs that I was losing money on. And my mindset was, well, I just want to get to know other people and grow my business. That's not necessary. That's what led me to have a heart attack. That's what led me to have that much stress. So I am who I am. And if that's not a good fit for clients, I'm okay with that, because the clientele that I do have coming in, we got a lot of homes in design right now, and we've got a lot of opportunities coming in. And Sedona carries a lot of, the demographics in Sedona carries a lot of weight. It carries a lot of money. There's billionaires that come up there, and they're not looking for a price. I had an individual that I'm working with right now, just sent him an email last night. I asked him, what type of home and how big do you want to build? He goes, how big can I build? I said, okay, well, what's your budget? I don't have one. That's my clientele. That's my ideal client. So that's a little bit about me.
Well, I mean, let's get back to I love when you bring up the emotions thing, because I'm a big component. I talk about communication all the time. And the number one thing I talk about is, once we understand how to control emotions in the conversation and not react, and just understand that's an emotion somebody feels, the sooner we can just start being better communicators and have better relationships with our clients, our subs, everybody involved in the project. If you're the one that is driving the emotions and understand that and working that, you become the master of the projects, and you're there over all conversations that we've had. Like, that's what you do. That's why this is so much fun nowadays for you, because you understand that.
Yeah. You know, you have to, in managing those emotions, I'm a firm believer that you have to be extremely deliberate in everything that you say, extremely deliberate in making sure that everything is on those plans. Everything is on the plans, the structural engineers. I mean, it's crazy nowadays how you have to keep your thumb on everyone. I remember 10, 15 years ago, I would be able to grab a set of plans. I would be able to take my client. If I had a lead, I would say, go ahead and talk to this architect. When you get your plans done, come on back and I'll go ahead and bid them out. You know, I take 3-4 months, whatever it is, depending upon the complexity of the home. I would just say, just bring the plans back and let me bid them out. Well, that didn't work out so well. And nowadays, you have to be a part of that process. You have to be your client's advocate to make sure that the architect, structural engineer, civil engineer, they're all leading them down the right path. I remember years ago, I would send those plans out and they'd come back. The architect would tell the client, yeah, you could build it for $300 a square foot. I'd bid it out for $600 to $700 a square foot, especially nowadays. And then they would just get up and walk away. So I spent 3.5, 4 months on my time doing that for free. That does not happen anymore. If I meet a client, we just gave a presentation to 15 realtor, high-end luxury realty, high-end luxury home realty realtors for Coldwell Banker at their office 2 days ago. And we explained the process and what we do. So as soon as I meet a client, I sign a pre-construction contract. Yeah, we have about 3 meetings. I get to know what their budget is. I get to know what their finishes are going to be. And I get to know who they are as an individual to see if it's going to be a good fit. Then we enter into a pre-construction contract where it spells out everything that we do. The next pages will define the hours on what those previous pages, those items and those activities that we have with that client, it spells it out. It could be anywhere from $40,000 to $90,000 for the next 270 hours of work, which equates to anywhere between 5 to 9 months. However, we're able to be in those meetings with the architects, civil engineers, and we're able to pull those reins back and say, wait a minute, you know what? If my client's budget is $2.1 million and we're basing them off, and they knew this because they decided what kind of finishes that they wanted, we're basing them off of $700 a square foot. So that equates to, and this actually happened about 3 months ago. I walked in, we sat down, we started to go over the design. Their budget is $2.1 million. I'm basing them off of $700 a square foot. So I adamantly looked over at the architect and said, you can do whatever you want within 3,000 square feet. And that's it. 3,000 square feet times $700 a square foot is $2.1 million. And I looked at the architect and said, what did I just say? Because I wanted to make sure that he understood this is important because if they go over budget, a lot of times those plans never make it off the architect's table. And it just blows out of the water. So we're there from the birth of that design to make sure that those individuals stay on budget and we're able to materialize their dream moving forward. The architect came back at 3,500 square feet 2.5 weeks later, and I got on the email right away and I said, this is why you guys are paying me. If you want to go up to 3,500 square feet, the architect, just by adding a few things and adding a room here, according to what the client wants, you guys just went up to 3,500 square feet. Your budget just went up $500,000. Can you afford that? So at least it gives them the option, and somebody is being their advocate and watching every step along the way to make sure that the budget's not blown. Because like I said, there's so many times that those plans just don't make it off the table. And, and the problem is those clients already bought that piece of land. So, yeah.
Well, I think there's so much makes sense with what you're saying. When you think about it, it ends up the budget gets blown out because a homeowner or the people that are building the house get with the architect and they're like, oh yeah, that would be nice. Let's add this. Let's do this. And the builders can typically out of the realm of that. And then it's the builder's fault. It can't be built for the same amount of money. But what you're saying is like, be there in that process, help with the architect. So there's an understanding, because like with that email you sent saying, hey, this is over the square foot that we agreed to, what this would be. It's going to add this to the bottom line. You're not in the position of being the bad guy. Like it's, hey, you two got together, you and the architect added a couple rooms on, and you just blew this up by $500,000.
Yeah.
But as the builders, a lot of times we're the ones that take the brunt force of, well, why is it over budget? Because we're not having the conversations that you're having before anything even happens on the job.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I put that in place. It was I would say it's about 4.5 years ago. I put that in place because of that reason. Like I said, I'd send the plans out. I'd said to send the client over to an architect. Architect would do all the plans, come up with everything. And then what happens is they come to me and I tell them, you know what, this is going to run $600 a square foot. So 2 things are going to happen. Number 1, they're not going to build a home. Or number 2, they got to go back to the architect, shrink the house down just to get it back into their budget. And what happens? They spend more money on redesigning and restructural engineering and civil engineering the home. The finishes stay the same, but they have to spend that much more money now to redo the plans, where now I'm involved and I've got the reins being pulled back on the architect and making sure everyone's staying exactly where they need to be. So it works out perfect. It minimizes time. It minimizes the amount of money that they spend. And it also pre-qualifies my clientele, because if I have somebody and I give them a pre-construction write-up or a pre-construction contract, if they're willing to cut me a check right off the bat, that means that they're not just tire kickers. They're a bona fide buyer, or they are able to afford to build that home. So like I said, it pre-qualifies them and it works out great. We've had 100% success since we started this process. And I get paid for my time. The client's protected and we're their advocate, and it works out great.
It's like a prenup.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
So before you guys get all in the same whatever, you have some paperwork that it's not just protected, it protects all parties, and it just has clarity in what exactly is going to happen before we even start digging the first hole on this project. And I love that, because that's what's missing a lot of times. That's where we get in trouble. That's where homeowners get aggravated, because there's just not open clarity on that front end.
Yeah.
So with all of that being said, you made a big shift. We had talked about this because you moved to Sedona to build the house for your buddy, and you made a big shift in clientele and made a decision that you were going to go branch out into, I think, what a lot of people would find to be intimidating ground. I think what you're doing is amazing. You're building big houses, but there's a lot of guys that are, they're building $500,000-$600,000 houses, and they think it would be nice to build $1 million houses, but they don't know how to make that leap into that word. You pulled the trigger on that. What would you say to those guys out there that would like to move into that realm of things?
Well, I would say, on two fronts. With the pre-construction contract, not everyone can actually sell a pre-construction contract. I think in order to sell a pre-construction contract, in order to be comfortable and confident and concise in your actions, you have to have knowledge. You can't just go out there and say, okay, give me $50,000 or $60,000 for the next 6-7 months to stand by your side and walk you through the process. Well, that comes with a heavy burden. You have to have knowledge. Whenever someone enters into a contract with me, a pre-construction contract, whatever I'm going to charge them. So say if I'm going to charge them $50,000, I will guarantee them, I will show them on paper during the design process, just by pulling the reins back on the architect and challenging the structural engineer to value engineer the home, I will guarantee them that I'll save them double if they wouldn't have had me. And I've done it for the last 3 pre-construction contracts. I'm able to show them. This last one we're about 6 months away from being complete. It's $2.5 million home. It's another one in Sedona. And initially the structural engineer came in with all these I-beams and 8x8 steel posts and 4x4 by 4 foot deep footers, and everything in Sedona is all rock. So you have to pound out all this rock. So I went back to the structural engineer and I said, Bob, why do you have all this steel over the place? I said, in the carport, could we put glulam beams, hide them in the ceiling or hide them in the walls, and then use 8x8 wood posts, because wood is a quarter the cost of steel. So I went back. So it saved my client on excavation, concrete, steel, plus the wood at that time went backwards. So I was able to show my client that we were going to save them roughly $65,000. And I think their contract was like $35,000 or whatever it was. I don't recall what it was, but you have to step in. If you're going to step into that arena, you have to have some kind of knowledge. In my job as a general contractor, a luxury custom home builder since 2020 is 10x. I have to know so much more because the circle of subcontractors in Sedona is so small, and you have to just keep your thumb on them. For an individual to step into this arena, I would say, number one, make sure that you are seasoned in actually what you're talking about. You have to know every phase of the construction. You got to now know about structural engineering. You got to know about framing. You got to know about architecture, where you can add, where you can cut. Your knowledge about materials in the home is got to be extensive. You have to have extensive knowledge about the costs of those materials going in and be able to give your client options. So I would say anybody stepping into that arena, I would use the analogy as, number one, yes, you have to have education. You have to have knowledge of actually what you're doing, the finer points, the structure of the home, how the home's being built, the process. Um, but I would say, how do you learn how to swim? Jump in the water. You know, I can honestly tell you when I first started building back in 2002, I built my first house in 1997. I left the corporate world in 2002. My knowledge now compared to back then is 100-fold. And all you got to do is ask questions, you know, study up, deep dive into everything that you do in regards to construction. If you want it bad enough, go out and get it. Don't let anything hold you back. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do something. And I think that's been my success. You can't tell me I can't do something, because I'll do it. I'll show you. And, you know, and I think that mindset comes from me being an endurance athlete, you know, ultra runner, just my thought process in regards to who I am, what I do, and why I do it. You just got to jump in the water, man. You just got to go out there and swim. It's not easy. And if you think that it's all going to be big money and sunshine and rainbows, that shit ain't going to happen. You're going to, you know, I had to cut my teeth up in Sedona with some of these subcontractors that you just got to keep your thumb on constantly. But, you know, once you get some good people and once they understand your process and agree, I am a hard driver, but if I have an individual that shows up on time, if they're going to be late, they make phone calls. I had to come down to Phoenix today. I had a glass guy. He's supposed to be there at 9:00. 9:05 comes around. I called him. I said, "Hey, Jose, it's got to be 9:00 somewhere. Where are you? You know, if you deal good with me, I'll deal good with you." You know, I am a hard driver, but I expect perfection because I expect perfection out of myself.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it. Your wealth of knowledge for the industry. For all the construction champions out there, if they wanted to reach out to you, follow you, learn about what you do, where's the best places for them to do that?
You could go on Instagram. You could go to my website, which is currently, I've got to get it updated. I've been so busy for the last 10, 12 years. I haven't really put a ton of work. I have a ton of work into the website, but I'm getting ready to upgrade it. I got a lot of things on that website, a lot of different ideas. I have a YouTube page, Steg Custom Homes, my own YouTube page, where it shows a lot of the stuff that we do in regards to high-end remodels, custom homes, case studies. I got my videographer coming in, Neil Bryce, with Bryce Media. He's coming in on the 22nd through the 25th. This big home on Hillside, he's going to be doing some videography, professional photo shoots coming. And we use a lot of that for marketing materials. And, yeah, it's, you know, I'm on Facebook, Jim Steg on Facebook. I don't do a whole lot on Steg Custom Homes on Facebook because it automatically ties into Steg Custom Homes. My Jim Steg on Facebook, Steg Custom Homes on Instagram. And like I said, my YouTube page, or you can reach out to me, you know, my phone number. I can drop my phone number in here. If I get a lot of referrals, and I know 99% of the people on Facebook are never going to build the home that I build. I get that. However, I bring my personality, my drive, my commitment, my integrity, my advocacy to my clients and my subcontractors, and they feel that. You know, I just posted something today. I just bought another home in Phoenix that we're a complete gut. We're going to have that done. It'll be 2 months, complete gut, 2,000 square feet. Everything's redone. 1, 2, 3, got it done. And I'm impressed with how quick it's gone. But some of my contractors understand that this is what I want. And this is the day you show up. And this is the day you leave. I remember earlier on I remember the second home that I built. I would, walking in the front door, I would write in black marker all the subcontractors in, out. So concrete, after concrete, electrician, in, out, HVAC, in, out, plumbing, in, out, the dates. And I was adamant on making sure, and I was a rookie at that time, and I built actually, when I left the corporate world, after I built my first home in 97, so 2002, this first home I built a 3,500 square foot radius Santa Fe style home, vertical, horizontal Viga logs all over the place, 3/4 of an acre, pool. I did that in 3.5 months. And the builders were around me going, who in the fuck is this guy? Holy shit. And I think what I did was, back then, I didn't really know a ton. I asked a lot of questions. But what I did was, if one guy missed a day, I'd automatically change that schedule. So we stayed within that time period, and that helped. And I use that all the way through today, and I think, here's another thing, if somebody wants to step into that arena, I use this analogy. If your construction company is like a football team, and the team that you have, well, let me back up. You have your construction company, you have the architect, and you have the designer, interior designer, and that's your football team. If your front line does not block, the quarterback is going to get sacked every play. And being the construction company or the general contractor, you're the quarterback. If you are going to step into that arena, you better make sure that you have a good team, because it can go sideways in a heartbeat. If materials aren't selected on time, that's why I am adamant about making sure the designer is done with all the materials, the client agrees upon it, structural engineering is all done, MEP's all done, architect's all done, and everything's on the plans. Before it goes in the permit, we have a signed contract on what the cost of that home's going to be with all the items listed. So there's no question on what kind of materials that's going to go in the home and how long it's going to take and what it's going to cost. Now, if the client wants to change their mind, which, I change my mind all the time. I'm doing this big remodel down here, and I walked in today and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of second guessing myself on a few things that I've done. However, it's going to look really beautiful, but really beautiful is not my motive. The best is what I'm shooting for. Something that people are going to walk in and go, oh my God, what the hell's going on here? That's what I shoot for. High-end, elite custom homes.
Awesome, man. I love it. And thank you for taking the time to be on the show today.
Right on. Yeah, I appreciate you reaching out, and I'm glad we got connected. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be on your podcast. And it looks like you got some really good things going. And we spoke about a week or so ago, and it sounds like you've done very well for yourself. So congratulations, man.
Hey, man, we just keep rocking and rolling and just keep doing what's best for the construction industry. And I love it, man. And I love what you're doing. And anytime you want to come on, you're a welcome guest here.
Right on.
So, all right, construction champions, that's another episode where Jim just dropped a lot of fire on how to take your game to the next level. I guess the question for me is, do you have a prenup before you go into a build? A lot of builds nowadays last longer than marriages last. Now, I'm a component of not that, but that's what ends up happening. We have to start looking at, like, what is the prerequisite to just start getting into this? Take a hard look at that. A lot of us would just go out, bid something, be like, if we get it, we get it. And we don't even think about the client fit or what that relationship's going to be like. When you're building a house, it's going to take 12 months to build, or you're doing a renovation, it's going to take 6 months. You're going to be spending a lot of time with these people, probably more time than you do with your family a lot of times. You might want to be thinking about who they are and if they fit with what you're going to be doing. So, construction champions, until next time, go be the champion you were meant to be.
Unlock the potential of property intelligence with HomeTrack. In seconds, generate over 250 data points from a single address using advanced imaging and public data. Streamline property assessments efficiently, saving both time and resources. Enhance your decision-making today. Experience the future of property insights. Engage with HomeTrack now.
Tired of losing track of promising leads? Struggling to convert inquiries into contracts? Build 12 is your solution. Over 30 years of industry expertise tailored for contractors ensures seamless lead management and nurturing. Boost your closing rate with ease. Experience the efficiency today. Download Build 12 and supercharge your business growth. Don't wait, act now.